So, next race, it's the next round, the next heat, sorry, for the seniors. This is groups B and D. And we're into the 60-second countdown already, so we've got less than 30 seconds remaining, in fact. He says, what am I looking at? Let me make sure I'm getting my timings right. Yeah, 16:20. I say that because I've just looked over and it looks like mechanics are still stood, but it might just be an optical illusion and they're actually behind the fence. But we'll see how that one's going to play out. Hopefully I've not misinterpreted it and got my times wrong and or anything like that. But no, that was good. It was an optical illusion. They are released onto the circuit for the groups B versus D. And on pole position, it's Jonathan Hoggard, recovered from an exclusion himself. Alongside him, though, is Christopher Drayspring, who's got 2 victories out of the 2 races so far. What's he going to be able to do here? Row 2, Rinus van Countau and Alex, both going to be charging hard in this one. Third row, Adrian Renadin and Gary Donnelly. Row 4, Filippo Laghi and Thomas Drouet. Row 5, David Remy and Joel Depuch. Row 6 is Felix Kotic and Ed Brand. Hopefully he's out there and is going to have better luck in this race. Row 7, Nicholas Szabo and Nicholas Dachateau. Row 8 is Ido Cohen and Tom Croydon. And on the final row of the grid, the row 9, is Stephanie Levescont and Luc Villens. That's your grid for the seniors, the last heat for the seniors today. It's all important. This is Christopher Drayspring's going to want to try and buck the trend, and he's done it already from the outside of the grid and just get himself out into the lead as quickly as he possibly can. And is he going to be able to convert that into 3 victories out of 3 and put himself on pole position for the pre-final tomorrow? He's certainly given himself the best possible chance. But Jonathan Hoggard sits in pole position for this race, and he's got the 1 victory and a excluded. So he's got to make sure that he does damage limitation and makes it 0-point haul in this one by taking the victory as well. So, in fairness, that's 2 guys right at the front that are going to be fighting like mad. And Alex in 2.75 starts in 4th, and he's been fighting really hard all day. Rinus van Countau has been taking sort of a watching brief, playing it gently because he knows it's come the finals tomorrow, that he's got that skill and speed to be able to convert it and pick his way through the crowd in the all-important point-scoring races tomorrow. Adrian Renadin has been brilliant in that really distinctive all-blue livery, helmet and overalls, and has been up there fighting. Gary Donnelly arrived here in a significant position in the championships. They're coming through, they're in the corridors, they've been slowed down, they're not being slowed down anymore onto the start-finish straight, so they're happy so far, and the lights are out and off they go. Christopher Drayspring was desperately trying to get up to the inside, but Rinus van Countau was not going to allow him this time. But the one who did manage to then sneak up the defensive Rinus van Countau, it looked like it was indeed Adrian Renadin, has got himself up into 2nd position. So into the lead goes Jonathan Hoggard and Adrian Renadin in 2nd, and it looked like we have Gary Donnelly up there into 3rd position. So that's a complete mix. It's not even just from one side of the circuit that we've had all sorts of moves happening there, but 300, that's Jonathan Hoggard, has got himself in the position he wanted to be in, but the all-blue Adrian Renadin is sat there ready to pounce in 2nd with the 2.66 cart of Gary Donnelly in 3rd. Great start from 6th on the grid, sat there in 3rd. So those 2 basically came through from the 3rd row to just pounce through. In 4th position is Rinus van Countau. Drayspring finds himself down in 6th position. He was completely balked from moving towards the inside. He'd done it so strongly in the previous one. I think everybody knew what was coming and they just would not let him through. He's not going to be happy. He wants to take the clean sweep, doesn't he? He wants a full house. But he's not sat there able to do it at the moment. But the 6 of them are still joined together. Bit of a gap back then to Remy and Alex. Alex finds himself down in 8th position. That start did not go according to plan. The good news as well for a driver that's had bad luck so far, Ed Brand has jumped himself up to 10th position at the moment, so he's going to be hoping that'll continue in that CRG car. He's already putting pressure on someone by the looks of it, which must be Joel Depuch, as they come through to complete their 2nd lap. It is still Jonathan Hoggard in the lead. Adrian Renadin in 2nd, Gary Donnelly, Rinus van Countau. Drayspring has now got himself up into 5th position ahead of Drouet, so Drayspring is now making the moves, isn't he? He doesn't want to hang around for too long. The last thing he wants to see is the rest of them cantering off into the distance, so he's not letting it so far, although it does look like Renadin is sort of Renardin and everyone behind him is dropping away from Jonathan Hoggard at the moment. So the 300 cart is looking to try and put a stranglehold on this lead at the moment. We're only a couple of laps in of this 11-lap race, and look at this, making a move around the outside. Oh, and he's done it. Gary Donnelly goes around the outside, but there was a little bit of contact that's basically meant that they've lost several positions, and it's Rinus van Counthout is now jumped up into that second position. He took advantage. He doesn't need to be asked twice. He's straight up there, and he's taken Christopher Dayspring with him by the looks of it. Yes, indeed. All of this allowing our leader, Jonathan Hoggard, to start stretching his legs at the front. But Rinus van Counthout saw the opportunity when the cars in front of him just tripped over each other. Gary Donnelly and Adrian Renardin just tripped over each other and unsettled each other. That has now split apart this big group at the beginning. And Rinus van Counthout is under growing pressure from Christopher Dayspring. He can see this race coming back to him. Is he going to dive up the inside as they head into Restaurant Corner? Yes, he has indeed. But Rinus did a brilliant job there. He could see that it was too late to close the door on Dayspring. So the best thing he could do was make sure he got himself off the marbles at that Restaurant Corner as quickly as he possibly could. We've said this time and time again. You easily lose multiple positions down there at that turn number 7. He knows that. He had mature head on his shoulders for such a young man. And he just dived himself straight in behind Christopher Dayspring. Fine, he's lost the 1 position, but no more than that. So he sits there still in 3rd. Gary Donnelly in 4th. 5th is Thomas Drouet. Renardin down in 6th now. Reme, Depuch, Ed Brand in 9th at the moment. Kotic, Lagi, Alex down in 12th after bigging him up for his challenges. All the while, Jonathan Hoggard's just disappearing off into the distance. Nearly a second and a half was his lead over Christopher Dayspring. But Dayspring's got the hunger in his belly for the clean sweep of victories, hasn't he? So he's desperately going to try and close in, but he needs to be aware of Rinus van Counthout, and I thought Rinus was looking up towards the inside as they got to the right-hand hairpin of turn number 9. Not quite on, and it has enabled Gary Donnelly to close back in again, who will probably be slightly frustrated with the moment with Adrian Renardin when they were both trying to make a move on somebody else, I think. But he's closed right in, and in fact, the fastest lap that time round was indeed by Gary Donnelly, and it's the best lap of the race so far. So Gary Donnelly means business, and there's no fluke therefore that he's in a commanding position in the championship behind leader Nicholas Scholl, and he needs to make it count. But he knows it's not till tomorrow, obviously, but he wants to be as far up the grid as possible for come the pre-finals. But look at this, Christopher Dayspring in 2nd, Rinus van Counthout in 3rd, and in 4th, closing rapidly, Gary Donnelly, all the while allowing Jonathan Hoggard in the 300 cart to just disappear off into the distance. It's virtually 1.5 seconds, 1.497 it was last time. How's it going to compare this time? Has Dayspring got an answer as they come across the line? He has, you know, because he's going slightly quicker. It's down to 1.474. Not much of a close down. But if you look at it, he's managed to shake off the attentions of Rinus. And in fact, Rinus has just been passed by Gary Donnelly. I said it looked like Gary Donnelly was meaning business. And sure enough, Gary Donnelly dives himself up for that 3rd position. Next target, Christopher Dayspring. And Gary Donnelly is another one that lost out slightly with the move with Dayspring when they tried to get past Adrian Renardin. Renardin actually finds himself down in 7th position now. I think he's going to be rather frustrated down there. Through turn 10 for the 7th time in this 11-lap race. 4 laps to go when they cross the line this time. Hoggard, Dayspring, and it is still Donnelly, Van Counthout, and then it is Drouet in 223, Reme in 220, Renardin sat there now in 7th, Depuch, Kotic, Ed Brand sat there in 10th position, still going, which is good to see, but not really able to move forward anymore at the moment, but never discount him. In fact, he's right on the bumper of the cart in front of him, which is 259 of Kotic, heading down towards the turn number 7, the Restaurant Corner. It does look like Rinus van Counthout is trying to come back again, isn't he? And look at Renardin. Ooh, a bit of a signal there. I don't know whether he's happy there or not. Has he managed to get past Reme? Possibly there. I think he has, hasn't he? So he's managed to make up one of the positions. Next target is Drouet in 223. So Renardin is back up to 6th position. Through comes Hoggard to complete his 8th lap. 3 laps remaining. Look at this gaggle coming across the line now, headed at the moment by Drouet, but Renadin is now up to 6th position and is going to be hunting him down. The all-blue livery. Oh, and we've got contact just behind. That will be Remy and Depuch, and they've kind of taken themselves well and truly out of contention. In fact, one of them looks like he hasn't been able to get going again. Is that Remy? Is that 220? I think it is, you know, and he's not. He's just had to push the car out of the way. Too much damage and rather frustrated driver there, clearly. But back out front again, it is still Jonathan Hoggard moving away. And we've just seen on the screen there that Renadin is indeed right on the bumper of Drouet 223. And then it's quite a long gap up until we get to Rinus van Counthout, who has not let Gary Donnelly pull away from him, has he? He's still got that 3rd position within shout for him, but Jonathan Hoggard very comfortably. It's over a second and a half now. There's flags out just to let them know that there's bits of bodywork or whatever else on the circuit, maybe even some fluid, I'm not sure. Nobody seems to be slipping as they go through there, so fingers crossed that's not going to impact the race too much at the moment. As they're on their penultimate lap, Jonathan Hoggard comfortably over a second and a half in the lead at the moment. Dre Spring second, Gary Donnelly, Rinus van Counthout, Drouet, Renadin, Cottage, Ed Brand in 8th position now, so he continues to move up. Alex just behind him, and Valence rounds out your top 10 as they come through for the penultimate time. Through comes Hoggard, the penultimate corner on his penultimate lap. Kart 300, is he going to be able to stretch that lead even more? Has he just settled into a zone? No, because he's just put in a new best lap for himself, so he's not settling down at all. His gap is 1.649, and he's just got himself into the zone, clearly, hasn't he? Christopher Drayspring still sat there in second. No more pressure coming from Gary Donnelly. Rinus van Counthout, have they settled in for those positions at this stage of the race? Final lap, nobody up there seems to be in a position to make a move. The one who's really under pressure is Renadin. Cottage looks like he could be trying to do something on this final lap. Through comes our leader, Jonathan Hoggard, kart 300 through turn 9. The left-hand hairpin, turn number 10. He's just stroking this home with great confidence now. It goes to show that he did not let that initial exclusion affect his confidence, affect his concentration, affect his mood, because here he comes to take the checkered flag for the 2nd time. A great victory. Christopher Drayspring in 2nd, Gary Donnelly in 3rd, Rinus van Counthout 4th, Renadin gets through in 5th position, and Drouet ends up in 6th. Ed Brand comes through in 7th position. Great fight back through by Ed Brand there. Cottage in 8th. 9th was Alex. Luke Valence in 10th. Great moves from Luke Valence, considering he was on the back row of the grid. Philippe Alaghi in 11th. 12th was Ido Cohen. Zabu in 13th. Dashato 14th. Tom Croydon in 15th. Joel Depuch in 16th. And then it was Les Viscount in 17th, and unfortunately a non-finish from Remy. So something happened fairly late on there for Remy that put him out in front of us. We didn't see what caused the accident, but there was certainly contact, and he was very frustrated as he got out of his car. But a fabulous victory for Jonathan Hoggard. He's put the first heat behind him, and he's taken 2 consecutive